Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Okay, so I'll look at your profile a bit first. Your act's pretty good. 99. Nice profile picture.
Thank you.
Me? I agree. Okay. So you did your PP abuse for your top play.
Of course.
Your plays look pretty good though overall. Pretty good act on most of them. I think I know most of these. What is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah, you seem pretty good though, overall. You have some DTs thrown in here, but no hard rock yet, I guess.
Hard rock is very difficult. AR-10.
I agree. Okay, so do you have any questions or anything right away?
I suppose I have like a few different things I wanted to go over. I guess I'll start with dreams.
Okay.
I under-aim a lot. Like every single time I make a mistake on a stream, it's always under-aim.
Okay.
And also, whenever there's like a spacing change, like the spacing gets bigger or even smaller, or a sharp change in direction or anything, it'll affect my tapping sometimes. I'll speed up or slow down or finger lock.
Okay. That definitely makes sense because you're like a lot more than you might realize. Your reading is very connected to your tapping and everything too. Like whenever, even if it's just because you're having to put more focus into your aim, maybe never that comes up, or if you just read it too slowly, so you had to like kind of catch up or anything like that, it'll affect it a lot. But do you have a replay of a stream map or something I can watch?
Sure, I have a couple. I guess I'll start with this one.
Okay. I can definitely see you kind of like not keeping up with the stream there at least.
Yeah, that happens pretty often.
So whenever you're doing these streams, so do you feel like tapping is really too much of an issue, or not really on like 180?
I don't find tapping an issue on 180 now.
Okay.
I think most of my tapping mistakes are just because I'm concentrated so much on aiming.
That's fair. Okay. I give a ball. I mean, I can even see on a lot of the jumps, you definitely don't look confident aiming. much of anything, at least in this map.
Maybe the case. I think I stop too much on each individual circle when I'm doing jumps.
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
I think I like focus too much on each individual circle.
Okay.
And like all.
I mean, that's not a
snap a little
bad
too much.
thing to focus on each circle, but I guess if it's like you do it too much to where you don't even read ahead at all to know where to go next, and then you're kind of behind.
Yeah, it hurts me a lot on higher AR, higher BPM.
I mean, yeah, because I guess you just need a balance, but that's still, I feel like that's still kind of better than like not looking at each circle at all and just staring in the center, because that's a really hard habit to break.
Yeah.
So you at least have like an idea of how to read things like still very clearly. You just need to be able to keep up, though. At least that's what it seems like. You can send all of the replays if you want right now. I'm just gonna go through them, just take it all in.
I have quite a lot here. Not all of them are stream.
Hello, can I coach you as well if you get 30k channel points, dude?
Just an aim map, and it's pretty high AR, so.
Yeah, I think I've seen this one once before. Also, do you have much experience at all with low AR or anything? Like just like AR8 or something?
I can do AR8 on mid 5 stars. That's about as high as I can go.
Okay. How do you feel about your reading when you play those? Like with the looking at each circle thing?
I usually mess up on jumps there. There's like a bunch of consecutive ones. It is definitely more uncomfortable, but I think it's always going to be.
Because I was thinking maybe playing low AR like that could kind of force you to, like, you can still look at each note, but force you to start reading ahead so that you actually like know where to go at all. Okay.
Yeah, I do. I definitely feel like I read slower, I guess. Like I'm more behind. Because I have to focus more.
So whenever you're looking at like each individual circle, when do you start to read ahead? Like at what point do you look away from it?
I think like when I'm moving down my hand to like tap it.
Okay. That doesn't sound like you're looking at it too long then, I guess. Maybe it depends on how fast you're aiming or something, I'm not sure, but that sounds like kind of similar to what I do at least, where Like, I'll look at where every circle is and kind of, whenever I just see myself almost getting to it, like I'm nearly there, let's look at where the next note is now. Like I know how much distance I need to cover to get to that note. I don't need to stare at it anymore. I can move on and just make sure I still move my hand as much as I needed to there. You might also just need like generally more experience on high AR maybe, while like just trying to not super hyper focus on every note as much. Like, have you practiced it much, or have you not even really tried too much yet?
I've been playing it at least a little bit every day.
Okay.
I haven't practiced hard rock in a little while though.
Do you feel like hard rock's like almost too hard to practice, or is AR10 still like it actually feels practicable?
I just tap late most of the time.
Okay. Because at least what I find to be the best for improving like high AR is usually finding maps that are like, it's a high AR for you, but you can still sort of feel it out well. Like you can still do pretty decent and kind of keep up with it. I try not to really play as much of the maps that I'm like really not able to keep up with, like if I'm hitting full 100s late on everything. So I feel like if you can find those particular maps that are a little bit easier for you on those ARs, it gives you a better idea of how it actually feels to play it. You can even like just have a map that you like or something, and then you want to practice that with hard rock just to like really learn it well, and you almost have some of it memorized. I think that is also still a really valid way to get good at higher ARs, because it's just like conditioning yourself to respond to things at that same rate.
Okay.
That being said, you should still, you know, play a variety of things, but if you ever feel like you need to really get a feel for how it's supposed to be on the AR10 or something, like you can practice the same map a lot. Or like maybe you've practiced one map a lot and it's actually starting to get comfortable on AR10 or whatever. Then you can just up the AR a little bit with an edit or something in whatever way you want. And just slowly work your way up. Also, I always feel like playing tech maps or whatever happens to be hard for you to read, like regardless of AR, just patterns that are actually difficult to keep up with because they're more complex. Playing that stuff is always a great help as well. Just having more patterns that are like very normal to read, like it's just kind of like added to your palette of things that you can understand quickly and easily while playing a map.
I do struggle a lot with reading sliders. I hit the slider body a lot instead of the slider head, but I think that's probably pretty common.
Yeah, but I feel like most of the time that can kind of be mostly just like you're focusing on the entire slider in general. Like if you just focus on primarily the slider head and just like treat it almost the same as a jump as far as just aiming the start of it at least, that'll help a lot. Like if you just think of the slider as two separate things, like okay, first I'm just gonna make sure I hit the slider head like it's a jump, you know, just go to that first. And once I've done that, okay, now I'll follow the actual body of it. Not just like, oh, there's this big snake on my screen.
Yeah, because low AR sliders are the big thing that messes me up, I think. I mean like really low, 5 or 6. I can't figure out how long I'm supposed to hold it, I guess.
Okay. So like you have trouble, I guess, reading the end of the slider while also like reading ahead to the next notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make sense. Also, since I'm like moving through these replays a lot, do you have any like particular things about the couple we watched that you wanted to ask or anything?
Not really those ones. I think
Okay.
there are a couple that have specific.
I guess before I watch the rest though, I can try to explain a bit of flow aim stuff since you were talking about under aiming a lot. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place right now, but Just let me know if it's too much all over the place. So at least whenever I'm reading streams, I'll say right away, it's kind of good if you're not over aiming, because I guess it's the same deal with like reading the jumps and everything, with you being kind of behind, but you're at least reading more properly. I think that's at least a lot better of a place to be. I think it's easier to just work on getting faster at something rather than having to like slow down and do things differently. So that's already good that you're like trying to really, you know, do it correctly. Whenever you read streams, do you ever pay much attention to like new combos and stuff? And what, like,
No.
okay. You don't necessarily have to, but generally speaking, like whenever there's, like you're saying, cuts and stuff that make you like, you know, you'll understream or speed up or whatever, your tapping will get messed up. It's usually on new combos and stuff where that happens, where there's turns or anything like that. And I always try to think of like every one I see within a stream is kind of like a mental reset almost, with your aim and your tapping and everything too. Like, so if you were tapping the stream, you can almost like tap a little bit harder on every new combo to kind of like, you really stay in rhythm then. It's almost like you're playing a bunch of separate bursts that just don't have any pauses between. And usually anytime there's a spacing change or anything, since it's on that new combo, it makes it really easy to, not easy, but like it makes it a lot easier to digest something like this. So like this stream starts on like mostly just completely stacked. Then it's a little bit more spaced at this new combo here. And then it gets a little bit more spaced again at this new combo here. So this already got split up into like 3 different sections that you can focus on individually. So whenever you aim the start of it, it's like, okay, oh, it's just stacked right now, we'll do that. Oh, I see a new combo, and it got a little bit more space. So now I'll just aim a little bit faster while I move through this part. Oh, I got a little more space again at this new combo. Let's move a little bit faster again. You know, until you get to the end of the stream.
Probably help me, because another thing is, the longer a stream is, the less focus I can like put on it. I start to almost look away from the stream. I have so much trouble with it. So I guess focusing on every new combo might help that.
Yeah, like it's kind of hard to, like, whenever you see a giant stream, like maybe you've played the map before and you just know it's a really long stream. It's super overwhelming just knowing like, oh god, whenever I start the stream, it's going to be like 100 notes. But if you just don't even worry about that, just, oh, look, first note, okay, oh, and it's just like a stack right now. Okay, well, we'll just do the stack for a while. Oh, not a new combo. Oh, that's just a little bit more space. Let's just go a little bit faster. Oh, let's just go a little bit faster again. If you just split up every stream into just different chunks, it's so much easier to digest it and read it. And then the stream just kind of ends before you even were like tired or anything or exhausted from focusing. You just did it. It's like, oh, I just split it up so much that it didn't even feel that long.
Right.
And for like under aiming and stuff, I guess I feel like that's mostly just your reading, but you can definitely focus a lot on just like really seeing yourself move through each note. Like, where do you look whenever you're reading streams exactly? If you know, I guess.
Probably a little bit ahead of where I am currently aiming.
Like, how many notes do you think? I mean, I guess it depends on how space it is, probably, but...
Yeah. I have no idea.
Okay. I mean, that's not bad to look just a little bit ahead. You want to do that? I always recommend, like, you see where you are. You want to look, like, between where you are and maybe 3 notes ahead, just somewhere in that range, so that you can kind of use your peripherals to still very clearly see, okay, I know where I am in this stream, and I know what's coming in the next few notes. And instead of focusing on just like what the whole stream shape is or anything, you just focus on moving through those few notes that are in your vision, and you just keep going through them like that. And I've always found it very helpful to just always remember whenever I'm doing like space streams that I know are hard to aim. I always try to remember that I need to see myself move through each circle as I tap it. Even though that's like obvious, that's how it works. If you think about it that way, I think it can make it a lot easier than thinking about your aim and tapping as two separate things. Because whenever it's separate, you end up doing things like, oh, well, I tapped perfectly, but like my aim wasn't really in sync with my tapping though, so it didn't work out. I note locked or whatever, right? If you think about them being together, it's one fluid motion with both hands. It makes it work a lot better.
I find my aim gets out of sync a lot when I'm doing jumps more than streams, like my aim and my tapping.
Yeah, I could kind of tell with the replays that would sound about right. It's kind of the same with that too, even though I guess not everybody aims in that way with jumps, because jumps is a little more lenient. Like you can kind of do it however you want. You can snap really fast and then just tap after you've landed on the circle, or the way I aim jumps is very much like a stream in that way, where I try to move to a circle so that I tap it as I get to it, kind of thing. I aim at the speed I need to aim at to get to it in time. I don't aim any faster or slower, really. That's how I've always tried to think about it anyways. Because to me, that makes a lot more sense of like, I'm not going to aim any faster than I need to, because that's just making the map way harder for no reason. That's why I don't really like snapping that much unless it's obviously necessary. Trying to think if there's anything else I forgot with flow aim. I think that's mostly the main stuff. Especially because you don't really seem to have too many issues with the tapping. I mean, maybe it's like, you know, only on 180 or lower that it's good. I don't know where your range is, but
200 I start to have some trouble with tapping.
Oh my god, me too.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. 200's just hard.
Indeed. So do you actually want to talk about like training speed and stamina?
My tapping has been consistently getting better, even when I'm not specifically focusing on it. So I'm probably doing fine there.
Okay, that sounds good. Also, I guess, do you have this map, Blend S?
Yeah, it's one of my most played back when I was a 6-digit.
Epic. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a great practice map.
Though.
For like flow aim or stamina or anything. Like, it's got everything you need pretty much, I feel like. Okay, so I'll go to another replay now. So which one was I on? 4? I think 4. It's an alt map, I think, right?
All maps are very fun.
Whew. Couldn't disagree more.
Oh.
I don't actually have that much of a problem with alt maps. They just bore me. It's just my feel. I don't know. They don't entertain me.
I really like low BPM, so just kind of increase the spacing.
I like low BPM. I don't even know what I just said. Low BPM, but I think I like it more whenever it's just really long streams. So then whenever it's just nothing but a bunch of bursts, I'm like, man, I want to keep going, but they don't let me keep going.
Interesting.
I also have a hatred of space doubles, and they're everywhere in alt maps. You seem pretty good at this, though. I think it's definitely good if you're actually like pretty decent at reading alt maps. I've always felt like alt maps are kind of like a type that you have to read pretty quick for.
I find it easier to read quickly on alt maps just because the density's lower, I guess.
Okay, that's like the opposite of me.
Oh.
Whenever the density's really low, I'm like, I have to keep snapping to everything. Why is it so fast? Yeah, your reading does actually seem fairly clear on this. Like, it looks a lot cleaner than whenever you were playing like a normal jump map. And just let me know if you had like any particular questions with the replays that I have on. Also, how's it going, Mujo?
With this replay is that it's an example of me getting very nervous and my reading gets destroyed.
Okay.
Yeah. I think my aim usually stays fine when I'm nervous, but my tapping and reading die.
Yeah, pretty much for me too. I've always felt like my nerves make my tapping like really bad. Because I finger lock everywhere then if I'm trying to do high BPM or something. I guess we can talk about nerve control then if you want.
Sure.
But generally speaking, it's there's like two ways to go about it. You either find ways to not care about the play, or just find ways to be able to distract yourself or like stay super in focus and like to the point that you don't even realize how good you're doing or something, right? And that can be like just either focusing really hard on the game or like just thinking about completely random things, not even related, so you don't even know what's happening.
I mean, most of the time when I'm playing, I'll think about random things if I'm grinding a map because I get bored of focusing.
Yeah. And at least it's going to be really, I think it really varies between person to person with nerves, like what ends up working best to control it. But like for me, I've had most success at least just really hyper focusing on playing and just like really look at every note and like make sure I'm hitting everything perfectly, even if it's super easy. Just that really high level focus is what helps me. Because even whenever I'm nervous, if I just like keep trying to get myself in that mode of just focusing on the map, it can at least kind of block out a lot of it. Even though it's not always easy to get in that mode because it's, I don't know, it's really hard to not fall out of it a bit.
I found I really have to tell myself to focus on the end of maps, because if I hit the hard part or something and then there's nothing at the end, I'll just miss on nothing because I'm so out of focus and like,
Okay.
I did the map. Wow, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I don't have that. Whenever I hit the hard part, I'm like, oh, well, yep, time to die.
Yeah, that happened to me recently. What? Let's see that.
That's probably a better way to be, though, overall. Like, because I think for your nerves will probably be a bit lower if you have that mindset of, like, once you hit the hard part, it's already done. Except that you do need to, you know, get yourself to focus again, but I think that's still better than being extra nervous.
Yeah, it was the self-surrender. Yeah.
Okay.
There's like a minute-long slow part, and then I just
I remember that
some random thing.
But yeah, like with nerves, you can try to like experiment a lot with different things. Like, try thinking about different topics altogether, or things that make you like think deeply about it. Meanwhile, you're just like playing Osu in the background. Essentially, you can try to do that. But I would say that also probably only works on maps that like you can FC with ease if you just didn't get nervous. It has to be at that level for sure, because otherwise playing on autopilot's just not going to cut it to FC the map probably.
Probably be better off hyper focusing. Although I have just a lot of focus issues in general.
Okay. Like you just have trouble like staying focused?
Yeah. I kind of forget I have to stay focused sometimes and then just miss randomly.
That's definitely kind of a hard thing to practice, I guess, because depending on the person, it's going to be really hard or really easy and natural. But whenever you're playing maps, I think it really does just come down to always telling yourself to do it, though. Like, you have to do it enough whenever you're playing maps, like all the time. Every time you lose focus, you're like, oh, focus! You get back into it. You have to keep doing that as much as you can until you just start doing it automatically, like any other habit.
Yeah.
I guess the easiest way to do that would be like especially whenever you're going for scores is probably when it's going to be most important. So if you're going for FCs or just trying to do well on a map in general, like every time before you enter the map, be like, okay, I'm going to focus the whole map. And then you try to do that, you know? Just be looking at every circle, making sure you're hitting everything really nice, all that. Yeah, I guess something I didn't mention about flow aim that, I mean, it's rather obvious, but like you always want to be doing your best to be moving in a very steady, fluid motion, like, you know, steady velocity. You're not speeding up or slowing down, same speed the whole way through, unless there's a spacing change, of course, that kind of stuff.
I think I've noticed, I've watched a few of my replays, and like midway through the stream, I'll just stop moving my cursor for a second. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, that might be just because of how much you're focusing on reading it and trying to see how to move, and then you just kind of like, since you're needing to move in a constant motion, if your reading falls behind, you start to not know where to move anymore. Because it's like your aim needs to move faster than your reading is moving, technically. It's the same with your tapping with that, too. Like, if your reading falls behind, that's why your tapping will probably stop, or you'll finger lock or something, because, like, even though you know the stream's still going, at the same time, you kind of don't know to keep tapping or not. Yeah, this is pretty much all the stuff we talked about here, with just kind of you're doing well to make sure you're reading the stream correctly, but just really behind a lot of times. It's not keeping up.
Oh yeah. So I'm always behind midway through the stream, but I have a common habit. On the last two notes, I'll skip the second last note and just jump to the last one and tap there twice.
That makes sense. Yeah, that happens to many people like me. I think that's actually partly a focus thing, even. Like, if you can keep yourself focused on reading the stream the whole way through to the very last note, that won't really happen probably. That's usually like you're reading ahead, or you're, say, especially if you're like running out of stamina or something too. you'll kind of want the stream to be over already, so you just rush those last couple notes, or you were like reading ahead, you saw there's a slider, oh, it's the end of the stream, I'm gonna keep doing the rest of the stream, there's like 2 notes left, let's just go to it, and then, you know, like, even if you're not obviously thinking in that in your head, but that's kind of what you do. I think that mostly just comes down to being able to keep yourself in focus, reading the whole stream properly. So if you're practicing just reading maps as a whole in that way of like, I want to stay focused the whole time, you just apply that same concept to the streams as well. Like, okay, the stream started, I'm going to focus on this stream till the very last note. I'm not skipping anything. I'm doing this really well and carefully, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What's next replay?
So you can probably skip this next one because it's just more blow aim stuff.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much the same thing.
Good old last maps.
I guess I can talk about some aim things I do. At start of a jump pattern, like the first note, I'll skip it a lot.
Okay.
So that's kind of strange. And small jumps, I'll over aim a lot, and then big jumps, I'll under aim a lot.
Okay. I think for the, like, skipping over the first note of a jump section, I think I understand why you would be doing that. Like, if you are reading a whole jump section as a whole, like, kind of the same way I was talking about with streams, like, if you see multiple jumps, you kind of, like, you're overwhelmed by it almost if you don't split it up enough, and you kind of, like, okay, I already saw the first note, I'm just gonna not worry about that, because, like, it's just the first note, I'll surely hit that. You know, you're kind of just not worried about it, I'll just move on to the next ones because they're harder. So if you put more focus into just kind of making sure you're actually reading every jump, the same way you would need to read the start of every stream as well. I don't think that would be, like, too hard of a habit to break. I think that's just, again, related to the lack of focusing properly. And for, like, over-aiming, under-aiming jumps, I mean, on this, it doesn't look like you're... I guess you're FCing right now, so it's hard to tell, but...
This
Like, do you...
I just found really hard to read for some reason.
Okay. I mean, it is a bit dense. Last maps are always like that. They're always a bit dense and kind of angular in the jumps. Like, the AR is always just slightly lower than what it would normally be for the star rating and BPM and all. I think these kinds of maps are actually probably pretty good practice for you though still. So I was also going to recommend like trying AR8 OD10 edits. I don't know if you've seen me play that stuff or not, but I think that can help you a lot with focus things. Because on ARs like that, especially on OD10, like, you need to really be focusing and staying in the rhythm of the song very, very well. You can't let yourself fall out of it. And whenever you're playing low AR, it's gonna be, again, like, kind of the same concept of chunking up your reading, the same way with streams. Except it'll just be with, you know, essentially any patterns in general, like whether it's just like jumps into triples with sliders and all that, like, it's gonna be splitting up your reading whenever there's a lot of notes on the screen. And, you know, typically the easiest way to do that is just by looking at new combos. Like, that's, the map kind of does it for you in that way. You can still do it in your own way, like you don't have to necessarily do it by that. But it's, I think, the easiest way to like start doing it. And I still usually go by new combos. I think it works well. So like if you were going to be chunking up your reading on something like this, what will be a good example pattern? Kind of, even if it's just this here, like you can kind of split up your reading here with like, okay, I see 1, 2, 3. I see these jumps. I'm just gonna focus on splitting up these, or not splitting these up, but this is like the first chunk of the reading here, of the notes on the screen, kind of. So you're gonna focus a lot on hitting that first note to make sure you started the chunk correctly, and then, you know, you see yourself moving to this note, and then like I think you focus less on the notes in the middle. You don't need to as much. It's most important to like focus on the first and last note of a chunk, because you want to make sure you started it correctly and you ended it correctly, because if you end it wrong, you'll probably also be off on starting the next one, kind of thing. And once you get through the first 3 notes, then you can see there's a triple here and then 2 singles after that. So it's kind of like, since this is pretty dense and you have kind of all this on the screen at the same time, you can split it up into seeing 3 jumps and then a triple and then 2 singles, instead of like kind of seeing all of it at the same time and just being, I'm just gonna move in a triangle and then triple up down, you know. I don't know if that made much sense. I feel like I didn't explain it the best.
I think I don't really chunk at all.
Okay.
At the moment. I read every single note as its own thing, sort of. Like every individual note is a chunk, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like reading individual notes is good, but maybe this is why like you fall behind a lot, I guess, with your reading. It would be because you're reading every note like as its own chunk, like you said. Instead, it should be more like you chunk up your reading, and then within the chunk, you can be kind of looking at individual notes, but you need to have that initial chunking of the things on the screen to be able to like stay in sync with the map. Because otherwise it becomes like really overwhelming to like be reading so fast that's like every single note, like, oh my god, gotta focus on this, and the triple, oh no, there's a note up here now, you know?
Yeah.
Now, that was kind of why I mentioned low AR in the beginning, was because like if you're just always falling behind by looking at each note, the low AR will like actually force you to chunk things a lot more, because otherwise like you'll just start no locking, and or like you just don't even know where the next note is because you didn't read ahead enough, you didn't chunk it up. And I think like the easiest way to practice a lot of that is making low AR edits of maps that you're already like kind of good at. Or maps like this are great too, though. Like 9.3 is a little bit low for the star rating and stuff. But let's just say, for an example, like if you had an FC on this insane diff, right? It's pretty low star. You can probably do that. Then you can just make an edit of it that's AR8 OD10. Or you can make it OD9. If OD10 ends up being like super tough and you want to make it a little bit easier on yourself, that's fine. Or like maybe 8.5 is all you need to make it hard. Anything that you need to, you know, shift to make it fitting to your skill level right now. But you want to make those edits and play them on maps that you can FC normally anyways. And practice, you know, chunking up your reading and not focusing so hard on every individual note being its own thing. You can be reading individual notes so that you can still, you know, aim them all correctly and all that, and you know where they are for sure. but then the patterns of the map need to be chunked up into pieces. So that way it's not so overwhelming and difficult to keep up. That's what I would recommend anyways, is those edits.
Alright.
And at least for me, they've helped me immensely over time. Even for all kinds of different things. 'Cause I think practicing those will also probably make you way more accurate too. You'll probably be able to act higher ODs a lot better and stuff as well. And even your aim might get better in general, because whenever you're playing low AR like that and you have to read it so well with the chunking and reading individually, like you learn how to really see yourself hit things well, because you can't like get out of sync or anything, because otherwise you're just gonna note lock and everything. Is this the coaching from channel plus redeem? Yeah. What's the next replay?
This is just high BPM in my struggles.
Oh, okay. Did that all make sense for the reading stuff, or do you need more like clarification or anything?
Makes sense.
Okay. So whenever you're playing high BPM like this, where it's just kind of jumps, what is the struggle here? Is it the aim, the reading, the tapping, everything? I don't know.
Tapping and reading.
Okay. I mean, I do see your single tapping quite a lot of it.
Yes, it becomes a lot more comfortable to actually hit the notes when I'm alting, but I can't act as well, so it's like...
Okay. What BPM is that? 230, that's pretty fast, yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of up to you with that, if you would want to learn alting, or if you would rather, like, really push your single tapping. Alting is always a great skill to have, for sure. It's something I also need to get better at, because there's kind of a lot of benefits that come with it. Like, there's going to be so many maps that will be way easier for you to play if you can do that. Because even if you can single tap high BPMs and stuff, a lot of times it's still going to take up so much of your focus to be able to go that speed with your tapping that it's going to take away from everything else you're doing. But alting is also a bit of a commitment to learn a lot of times, especially if you're ever having trouble like starting triples and all of that on your opposite finger. I don't know what your goals are exactly for this game. Like, that's why I say it's kind of up to you, because alting, like learning alting, is always going to be the better choice probably, because ideally you want to be able to do, you know, both that and single tapping probably. But it's also not necessary. It's like, do you feel like you would want to learn alting for the sake of high BPM and stuff, or not really?
Okay, sorry, I missed all that. Someone came in.
Oh, sorry. I probably should have. I heard something. Yeah, I just said, like, basically it's like sort of up to you if you would want to learn alting or just like pushing your single tapping farther instead. Because Like, it's kind of not 100% necessary that you learn alting, but it's always going to be good to be able to do it, and it'll make a lot of things easier, because even if you can single tap a lot of high BPM stuff, it's, you know, really often going to take away from your focus on everything else to make sure you're like keeping up speed and stuff.
Alting might not be too bad, because I already sort of do it off of sliders and stuff, because if it's off of a slider into a stream, I'll start the stream with my index instead of my middle.
Okay, that's definitely
so
good if you have that experience. I mean,
Yeah,
I have
it's
noticed
sort of
in your
hard to do.
replays that like you do occasionally alt a little bit.
Yeah. It after sliders a lot, I'll switch my finger to a little bit.
So I mean, I would say like if you want to go the route of like best improvement, learning alting is great, and I also need to do it a bit more. And since you already have a bit of that experience though, it probably wouldn't be that hard for you to do. And you also, like, you don't have to necessarily practice it by playing 230 BPM all the time. Like, you can play normal maps and just be alting it to get yourself used to the muscle memory of it and everything. And understanding like how you want to be aiming and all that, because it feels a lot different.
Yeah.
And I guess you'd probably also want to play like a lot of maps that have different rhythms, like different mixes of doubles and triples and quads and all that, so you're just like really getting a feel for how you play all kinds of patterns on both fingers. Like, do you have egg pain?
I probably not.
This map is very, very good. Let me... Oh, heck. Wait, are you on Osu? I can just...
Yeah, I'm online.
Okay. This map, I think, is really good for learning how to alt on different rhythms and everything, because it's essentially just a practice map, but it's just a lot of like repeating the same patterns over and over, so you can really build your muscle memory on it.
Mm-hmm.
As you get farther, it'll start mixing it up. And okay, just I'll say this ahead of time, don't get debated. Some people read these bursts on the bottom of the screen here. They read it as cut streams. They are not cut streams. I'll just say that. That's a double and that's a quad.
Ooh.
Then there's a troll jump section, the hardest part of the map. Then you got some double spam. All the good stuff. Then the next part's pretty hard too. It starts doing a mix of like single, triple, triple, single in different orders whenever they're stacked here. These types of maps I think would be really good for learning. Even though it sounds like you might not really have too much issue with starting patterns on the other finger. You'll find out, I guess, when you practice more.
Yeah. I think it'll probably just be consecutive triples and stuff that'll mess me up.
Okay. Is that gonna play 5 times? I should maybe set like a separate alert for like gifting 5 or 10 or something. So to just play the same one. Thank you very much, though, Mojo, for 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it a lot. Okay, one more time, guys. One more time.
Happy birthday, son pop crazy.
Thank you very much, Rukuria, too. I appreciate the support. And happy birthdays and all. Thank you very much. Okay, don't want to hold you off too long. Is there any other questions? What were we talking about? Oh, alting.
I guess I'll try to learn it. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and you don't have to, like, giga dedicate to it to the point that, like, you're full alting every map you play, but, like, maybe every day just have a period of time that you're gonna play a few maps where you're full alting or whatever. Like, I guess you don't necessarily have to full alt, though, now that I think about it, if you don't want to. You could also just kind of, like, learn how to do, you know, jump sections and whatnot with alting. But you can still be single tapping, maybe normal stuff, I don't know. It would be up to you, kind of, but full alting would be ideal. Yeah, I would also start with, like, some kind of slower maps, 4-star, 5-star, or whatever. That's going to be a little bit easier to digest so you can get your muscle memory down. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
I have to use the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Sure.
In a minute.
Also, hello, Ben. How's it going? And Ring. And yeah, it is my birthday today, Ben. It's already been over an hour. We're gonna train and see in progress. Nice, nice. Dang. The best raid alert, dude. Thank you for the raid, Enlaw. Appreciate it. Hope your stream was good. I was just lurking for a while. Good night. Alright, have a good night, Enlaw. Yeah, I'm doing some coaching. He's in the bathroom right now, though. Just watching one of his replays.
I am back.
Welcome back. So was there anything with this replay in particular?
This map is very hard.
Ah.
Yeah. And there are quite a few like really bad game mistakes, just like small jumps and all over them, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've definitely noticed your aim on like more dense jump patterns in general are kind of, it looks like you don't really read where the notes are very well. Like I think it probably comes back to the not really chunking your reading up very much. Like you kind of just see them all grouped up together and you just try to move in like the general shape of it instead of actually reading where each one is. Like, I guess the main struggle you seem to be having on this is it is like the angular and dense jump patterns, just like that other last map. And I feel like playing those low AR edits and stuff are gonna help a lot with that. And even like if you take maps that are like this and lower the AR too, it can help a lot to practice. Were there any other like general topics that you wanted to go over or anything?
We covered pretty much everything except for hidden.
Oh, okay. Do you have much experience with hidden, or like do you want to know how to get into it, or you're bad at it, or what?
How to get into it. I have very little experience with hidden.
Okay. I mean, you can, it depends on what you want to do, but you can go as far back as literally playing 1 stars. Because kind of being able to read and have the rhythm sense to play 1, 2, and 3 stars on hidden is actually really helpful. It kind of teaches you how to actually read rhythms properly whenever you can't see the circles fully. But you don't necessarily have to play that stuff if it's too boring. I understand that. So I think whenever I first started playing hidden, it was mostly like playing 4 stars. That might be like, 4 minutes long or something, so I have to at least be consistent. Playing 4 stars, 5 stars, stuff that's like fairly easy to FC with no mod. Like I don't have to try that much, but do it with it and that makes it like kind of challenging. And like, depends on the AR, but generally speaking, you just have to tap the circle like a little bit after it disappeared. All that stuff. But you also don't want to completely rely on that, because if you like go play AR8 on hidden, it's going to be a different story, how long you have to wait and everything. But yeah, the reading with hidden is kind of like, I mean, I guess it'll help a lot to be learning how to chunk your reading well, because with hidden, it's like you kind of have to chunk your reading and then remember where things were. Even though like the higher the AR you go, the less you have to really remember. But that's kind of how it works. Like you read a whole pattern coming up, and then as it's disappearing, you have to remember where things were, because you always have to essentially be like a note or 2 behind. But yeah, I would just play maps that you can FC. Similar to like if you were gonna play Hard Rock, like play maps you already FC'd no mod. So that way you don't have any, you just don't want anything to be interfering with just practicing the reading alone. You don't want to be worrying about like, oh, I can not only not read this, but I can't even aim it consistently or tap it. You need to be able to isolate the reading part of it, because that's what you need to practice. And just as that stuff gets easier, you move up in star rating until, you know, eventually you'll get to the point that you're playing maps that you normally play no mod. Were there any like specific questions about it that like you think you're going to be hard or anything?
Not really. The little bit of hidden I have played, I find lower ARs easier just because I take longer to read each note or whatever, so I need more time.
Okay.
That's the only thing I've really found.
I think that would just come with like practice of learning how to read hidden in general. Like you'll get used to it, and eventually it'll kind of catch up to what your no mod reading is, or at least be like, you know, really close, similar. And then it'll kind of just be the same deal, like, oh, you just like can't read AR10 because that's just really fast for you, whether it's hidden or not. And I think it's also fine if like your hidden reading isn't ever going to be better or 100% caught up to your no mod reading, because that's kind of how it's going to be for a lot of people. Like if you're better at no mod reading, you're better at no mod reading. That's fine. Being able to do both though is good. Hidden players puke. Hey, I play hidden a lot.
Okay, well I think that's pretty much everything.
Okay. Is there anything that wasn't like super clear or anything? Any questions at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I forgot anything at all. I mean, I guess one thing I didn't mention about streams is just, you probably already do this, but if you're gonna practice your flow aim and whatnot, similar to what I just explained with hidden, you want to make sure that you are able to just focus on the flow aim. So like play BPMs that you can tap very comfortably, all that stuff. Make sure the AR is not too high for you if you're trying to practice the aim. Like you want to try to be able to isolate whatever it is you're working on. Make sure everything else is comfy. That goes for pretty much any skill. That's usually going to be how you want to practice it. And then once you get better, you start combining the things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that can wrap it up. Hope it helps.
Yes, thank you.
I believe in you. I mean, I think you're pretty good as it is, so I think you'll do fine. I believe.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks for doing it on stream, all that. It was fun.
Yes. See ya.
Yep, good luck, have fun.